Back, everybody. This is going to be a very short lecture because I've done a lot of blabbing, a lot of PowerPoint. You've been doing a fair amount of reading, some homework activities, etc., etc. And we're getting ready for your second performance. First performance is just get it out there, see what happens, okay? Now let's start working on improving our performance. And so I want most of your time for this module on PROSE to be spent working on your performance. We have two whole chapters about prose and nonfiction and fiction and other many different types of prose. And I've listed in the module what I want you to read and what I want you to skim. I don't want to spend a whole lot of time talking about what prose is or different kinds of prose in this module. We're all pretty familiar with different types of prose. I want to spend time on how to perform it, which means you performing, me critiquing, we'll workshop. Feel free, by the way, and I'll bring this up more than once, to send me a practice version of any performance for some comments. And then just make sure you let me know when, like, this is the final, really do grade this one performance. That said, there's one little part of the textbook that I want to take a look at. It's page 135. Okay, there's a short excerpt there from a book by Lillian Hellman. And this speaks to some very basic issues of balancing a sentence, giving some things more emphasis, letting other things kind of slide, also pausing, helping us breathe. So take a look. Page 135, all right? Beth for a short time lived in the modest house on Britannia Street, sleeping on a cot in the dining room, rising at 5 o'clock to carry it to the back porch, to be the first to heat the water, to make the coffee, to roll and bake the German breakfast rolls that nobody liked. Okay, now, first of all, I think it's kind of funny that she's rolling and baking a certain type of breakfast roll that nobody likes. Think about your own family. Think about it like Thanksgiving. Is there that one dish that we have to always have every year that nobody actually likes anymore? No one's sure how it got started as one of the family requirements for Thanksgiving, but it better be there, or some older person in the family is gonna, die and then come back from the grave to haunt you because you didn't have that special relish or whatever. I found that amusing. This paragraph has several things happening in it, okay? What does Beth do first? Okay? She, um, sleeping on a cot in the dining room. If we hear dining, if we don't know what room it is, but we have several things that go on. She's sleeping on a cot, and what does she do in the morning? We know that she's living for a time on Britannia Street, sleeping on a cot. Okay, we got that. What are the other things that happen in the sentence? She gets up, she puts her cot away, right? Take a look at the text, all right? She starts the the water, starts the heat to for the water to make the coffee, and then starts working on the rolls that nobody's gonna like, okay? Boom, boom. That you have a list here. When you've got a list, be sure that we get the whole list. And you can, I just made a gesture. There are various gestures you might make to indicate we've got a list here. This thing, and then this thing, and then this thing. Things have to go in a certain order, so you might want to work your hand across in front of you, like a timeline. Make sure that each of those things are distinct. Not that they're all equally horribly important, okay? If we kind of hear that she's the first to heat the water to make the coffee, okay, well, that we can kind of blast through because we all know about heating water to make coffee. And then rolling out the breakfast rolls, blah, 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 that nobody liked, that gives us some color of the family. We don't want to miss the that nobody liked part. Look at the next sentence. These are long sentences. Then to save the car fare, parenthetical phrase, maybe it's super important. Is this person chronically poor then? To save the car fare. Or is this just something she's doing to be frugal? Then, to save the car fare, she walked the long distance. You can just throw it away. You have to decide or know whether the car fare thing is a big deal. She walked the long distance to the end of Canal Street. Do we care what street it is or not? I don't know. Where she carried shoebox stacks back and forth all day. Back and forth all day for the German merchant who ran the mean store for sailors off a mean store for sailors off the wharves. Okay, uh, mean as in rundown, not as in nasty. Does it matter that it's a German merchant? I don't know because we just talked about German rolls. So we got German and two sentences. You might want to look into this book and see if ethnic differences really matter or if it just so happens that Lillian Hallman wrote German once in each sentence that were back to back. This is just a great little example of something where you've got long prose and you're going to need to break it up. Same, there are other people like that, Charles Dickens, the Apostle Paul, okay, where you're going to have to break up these mo- gigantic sentences into digestible chunks for us. And that's where marking in your script pause here. Or you make sure that you put parentheses around something parenthetical that, yeah, can get tossed off and doesn't really matter. This is where marking up your script is going to help you and make sure that we get something that's maybe a bit complicated. Remember, if we're reading it, we can double back and reread half a sentence to catch up on something. If we're hearing it, we've only got one shot, and that's you. All right, something to think about. I want to see what you guys perform for pros.